This podcast is sponsored by Free Trade, Joe. So you may ask, what is Free Trade?
Well, let me ask, what's Free Trade?
Well, Free Trade is an award-winning, commission-free investing app. Now, I'm not that up to speed with investing and trading. It's not something I've done a lot of. So I looked at the Free Trade app. I've had a bit of a go of it. And I've been doing it for the past few weeks. And it is very easy to use and very easy to understand. And I can see why so many people are getting involved in it and, you know, using that app for their investing.
Yeah, exactly. It's commission free as well, as we said before. Some places want to charge you up to like 12 quid to invest. We're not having that.
Go to freetrade.io/Stretford, download the Free Trade app, create and fund your account, and you'll get a random free share worth between £3 and £200. And you get that in something like Greg's, Rightmove, or Apple, in one of those companies.
Greg's.
I love Greg's.
Yeah.
First ever drive-through Greg's was in Earlham.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. A random share worth between £3 and £200. Just go to freetrade.io/Stretford. That's STRETFORD. Link in the description for that as well. It's award-winning. It's won the British Bank Awards Best Online Trading Platform Award 2 years in a row, Jay. You don't get that easy.
Back-to-back awards. Back-to-back wins, mate. That's what I'm talking about. So obviously, they know what they're talking about when it comes to trading and investing. And this app, I've been having a go of it. And when it came to investing, I was a complete novice. I've not done it before. So had a look at the app, had a go of it. Took my time, didn't rush in.
See the lay of the land,
See what's happening there. And also, what I was impressed with is you don't have to be an expert.
No.
You can be like myself, a novice, and you can have a look and you know certain companies, you know, Google, Apple. There's those sorts of...
Greg's,
right up my street, where you can invest in those companies.
And not just have they won awards, they pride themselves on being fair and transparent. So there's no hidden fees, none of this stuff where all of a sudden you slap with this, slap with that.
No inflated spreads.
Everything is what it seems
I like
from
all
the
that.
start. Get your info out early on, then people know this is what it is, this is what it isn't. None of this hidden stuff, none of this trying to trick you into anything. Very good. And that's why they won those awards.
They won those awards, and what I like as well is you can start trading, I think, from £2 as well. So you don't need massive amounts of money to get involved.
Yeah.
Remember, though, as with all investments, your capital is at risk. Yeah. The value of your portfolio can go down as well as up, and you may get back less than what you invest. So terms and conditions apply. Make sure you check all that out.
Once again, make sure you go to freetrade.io/Stretford, fund your account, and get a free share between 3 and 200 quid, random. Make sure you check it out. Thank you very much to Free Trade again for sponsoring the podcast. Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe, and this is the Paddock Podcast. Joining me today, finally back off holiday, is Jay Motty. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm good.
It's
great to be back.
We'll talk a little bit about your holiday in a little bit. And of course, Alex Bagley is here as well. You've had a bit of a holiday yourself, haven't you?
No.
You went to Old Trafford?
Yeah, on my days off.
On your holiday? Sounds good, though.
It was good. It was very good.
Let us know how you're doing at home. Manchester United have won the first game of the season. How good's that? We'll talk about that. We've got some new merch. Look at that, Fernandez. Oh, look at that. It's my new favourite because it's all black. How you doing then, Jay?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. It's just been amazing, hasn't it, this weekend? Like, that Saturday was just unreal, being back in the ground. And, you know, I don't want to be melodramatic, but it was one of the best games I've ever been to. Old Trafford, it really was. It was just like everything about it was just brilliant. Walking back, as soon as you got, like, me and our kid went down together and we were having difficulty with the public transport, so we ended up getting an Uber. Well, he got an Uber because I'm banned from Uber for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, actually, I'll stop you there. Let me stop you there.
Yeah.
Before we carry on, because we've got a little bit of time. This is a podcast.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are you banned from Uber?
I don't know, right? I've used Uber 3 times. I didn't insult anyone. I didn't kick off. I didn't do anything. I wasn't even drinking. It was when I'm like in sobriety, so it's not like I threw up in the back of his cab or started doing sniff off the passenger seat. Do you know what I mean? And then it come up my thing. It went like, you're banned from using it. Email, whatever. And I thought, no, I'm not going to email you. I just won't use you. I'll just get different taxis, but I don't really get taxis. So yeah.
So you're banned from Uber for no reason, and I'm doing air quotes for anyone who's listening to the podcast. Oh shit.
Racial.
And we believe that is a company-wide policy. We're launching a lawsuit against Uber Inc.
It's not. So yeah, we got out. As soon as we got out of the car, walking up, bumped into a few people I've not seen for ages, bumped into one of my best mates, funnily enough. And then you get into the ground, seeing everyone. It's just great catching up. I was stood I was in the TRA, stood there all chatting and that, and then I got this email come through on the Devil's email. United signed Raphael Varane.
Oh yeah, I got
yeah.
I got the email as well.
And I'm like, I said to my mate, I said, yeah, have you seen this? And as I'm talking to him, look down on the tunnel, and Raphael Varane just walks out holding the United shirt. I was like,
can we start with
amazing.
that? Because you were at the game, weren't you, as well?
It was.
What was that moment like? Because I was freaking out on the watch along. Because I've always said, and I keep saying this, but the old like Van Nistelrooy on the pitch, holding the scarf, holding the shirt, they are my favourite announcements. I love them. I just think the simplicity, just look at this man that we've signed, isn't he brilliant? I like that. I don't need the whole PR. I don't need all that. Obviously, you're going to do something because people want likes on Twitter, but I don't need all that. I just want to see him. And to bring him out, the first we're hearing of it is he's on the pitch. Look at him. He's got the shirt on.
Yeah.
Must have been amazing to see that person.
I got lucky the weekend where I was sat through various different channels and ended up sitting in a box and just kind of sat there. Yeah, so kind of just sat, not even looking at the pitch, and then next minute you just hear and 4 Champions Leagues, 10 La Ligas, and all, and everyone just kind of went. I'm going, what? And just everyone just kind of going, and the place just lifted in it. Like it was a good atmosphere before that, but as soon as he walks out, the whole place lifted. Everyone's going nuts. And you're just like, this is amazing. It is the best possible way. Someone
said that. Sorry, Matt Bragger, and this happened for me. Matt Bragger said, and do get involved in the comments. The tannoy wasn't working or proper quiet in my section of the Stretford end. Just saw Varane walk out on the pitch out of nowhere. It was flipping buzzing. That I couldn't hear anything. I didn't hear all the because I said to my mate like, why haven't they like got on the tannoy? So I think because it was dead noisy where we were obviously, and probably I had the same issues as where that lad was. The tannoy, so we didn't hear anything. It didn't really matter. You didn't need the announcement of like who he was, but it was just mint, especially when you could see him in the middle of the pitch taking selfies and that. It's like, man.
Amazing. Obviously we've been over the Leeds game on the review. We've had fan cams and all that sort of stuff. But how good was the atmosphere? How good was it?
It was unbelievable, right? Because for starters, the Leeds fans were terrible, weren't it? It was just dead quiet. It didn't matter. But everyone was up for it. The whole crowd was buzzing. And, like, the football was good as well. Obviously, better than good. It was amazing. But what made me laugh as well, it was even the 5-1 was better than a 5-0. And I'll explain myself here.
No,
because
I agree.
You think, well, how can that be possible? They scored, right? And it was funny because they scored just after half-time, didn't it? Because my mates were coming up still laughing from the bar at half-time. And when it's 1-0, they were like, oh, for fuck's sake. And then the Leeds fans finally woke up because they got a goal and we're all like taking the shirts off and doing all that stupid stuff they do with the shoes and all that nonsense. And then literally 57 seconds later or whatever, we got Mason Green scored. And it was like, it reminded me a little bit of the Allianz when we played Bayern Munich, when I remember still celebrating Evra's goal when Bayern Munich equalised, and you're like,
and that was the Leeds fans. Thank God this time it wasn't us again.
So that was even better, and it was just from then on as well when you saw like Bruno getting his hat trick, Paul Pogba just putting on a masterclass as well. It was just quality, and there was so many good performances.
There was little things. Dan James is tackling about the 3rd minute where he absolutely swipes someone out off a corner. The corner.
Yes,
he got the ball though.
He gets the ball. Quality tackle. But just little things like that lift it. It was quality.
A comment here from Gaz. No, this is the one though. Did they not play This Is the One?
Actually, that's a good.
I think there was the tannoy. I think there was probably with all. I didn't hear.
I don't remember hearing that.
I think it came on late. I think because they had the Leeds players walked out first, and then it was United. And I think they must have come on later.
That's upsetting.
There was a few sort of chants as well, weren't there? People trying around with chants, new chants, and some of them. Some of them are a bit
ropey.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. We've had 18 months to come up with some new chants.
Yeah.
Sat at home with your pen. We've had a few new signings that time. We've barely even got a chant for Bruno. I mean, we have got a chant for Bruno, but you know what I mean. There's only been a few games. Yeah. Now we've got Varane and Sancho to work in there as well. Any notable?
There was one was like
the Cavani one.
What's the one with the Human League? Don't you want me, baby? Which was that one? There was one I can't even remember. It was about. Was it Sancho one or whatever? There was one where I was a bit like.
The Cavani one though, Adam Patterson has been texting me that all weekend, which has resulted in putting a tweet out, and now Adam Patterson has to get a Cavani tattoo.
Yeah, I saw this. Explain what you're on about,
so
because
Adam Patterson tweeted,
I keep seeing this on your socials.
Adam Patterson got a little bit drunk after the game, which
I refuse to believe that's ridiculous, slanderous statement.
And he's tweeted 5 likes and they get a Cavani shirt from a Uruguay Cavani shirt.
Right, okay.
That got smashed, and someone put out, how many likes for you to get a tattoo? And he went 50.
50.
And I spotted that and went, what? If I text a few people, that'll be done in 12 minutes. Did that. And then I said, then Steve went, Joe, if we get 500, he has to do it.
Yeah.
And it's got 500 now.
Cool.
So we're now making Cavani.
He should get the lyrics to that song tattooed on his back.
I said each finger. each there. So
so he can do that.
He can do that.
Or, I was saying before, get Cavani 7 full size on his back. Tattooed, so when his shirt's off,
or El Matador.
And this will be filmed and put on some kind of social media or even the members area.
We've got a couple of super chats in. Luke H says, what a weekend that was, lads. Stretford End was bouncing, but want to say on Ollie, he's made a team where I always feel confident that we will perform in a game which under Jose and LVG wasn't there. Completely agree with that. And also in the super chat, Shaikh Sabi Houdin, forgive me if I've got that one completely wrong, says the best part of the unveiling was it felt like I was in the ground with the crowd going mad. I'm in India, by the way. I bet the whole world felt it. That's mint, that. It
was great. Even just watching it on the watch along. We didn't even have the sound on, and it felt amazing. It felt so good. Can we talk about this? The whole sort of Souness Pogba thing has come around again, as it tends to do. We talked about it in the news, but you had sort of Micah Richards, even, or Micah Richards, however you're pronouncing it, raising this point, the supposed double standard. I know McCall has mentioned it as well. We haven't actually seen that double standard because Pogba's never refused to train, so we don't really know. But this whole thing of people acting as though everything's fine with Kane and the constant slander of Paul Pogba, Souness saying you expect him to get 4 assists because he cost 100 million, which he didn't cost 100 million.
No United player has ever got 4 assists in a game before in the Premier League.
Only 7 players ever have, including Pogba, and it's like that doesn't happen.
But he wasn't even joking, though.
If you expect 4 assists every game, that's why you're a failed manager, Graham Souness. Yeah. Because that doesn't happen.
No.
So if you're expecting that, you're going to be very disappointed.
But this has been going on for 4 or 5 years. What do you actually think the problem is? Do you think it's, obviously race has been brought into it in the past and those sorts of accusations. Do you think it's potentially just that in his day and his style of play was so anti-flash and anti-dyeing your hair, anti-social media, and Paul Pogba sort of has come to represent some of the things that he considers to be the modern excesses of football, and he just can't get that out of his head when it comes to his performances on the pitch, because it's just shit the way it's got to the point where it's only interesting to watch Souness talk about Pogba because it's going to be biased and stupid. It's not actually ever interesting or informative or based on any fact. It's just shit, and that's why it's entertaining. But that's no excuse, and that's for a man that gets paid to do what he does and has been doing what he does for as long as he has in Graham Souness, it's just bad mostly, isn't it?
The thing is, right, you can criticise Paul Pogba, right? I get that. Like, you can say, I said this on the news this morning, if you want to say maybe he can be a little bit more consistent, maybe he can turn up in some of the bigger games a bit more often, you can hate on his agent. His agent never shuts up. It does me head in. I get all that, right? There's some fair criticisms there where I think, all right, some of it I agree with, some of it I don't, but I understand that. It's not like it's off limits to say anything negative towards Paul Pogba or his agent. But when you just pointed out there, Joe, like, when you see a player who, in 50 minutes of football, produces 4 assists
and ran the show,
and that ball for Mason Greenwood is as good a ball as you'll see all season. I know it's only 1 week in, but it was exquisite. And you can't even acknowledge that and go, oh, he played well, or some of that passing was amazing. You just want to go to a negative, and he should be doing that. And then when they're talking about Harry Kane not turning up for training, and Micah Richards, who's an ex-City player, is defending Paul Pogba and going, well, why don't we have this conversation about Paul Pogba? And Graham Souness is sort of saying, first of all, he says, well, I've got different information about Harry Kane, whatever that means, Mr. ITK all of a sudden. And then he's saying, let's move on, let's not talk about this, let's talk about Liverpool. I think you can't even give him credit for his good performance or acknowledge that there isn't a fair narrative when it comes to Paul Pogba in comparison to other players. And I think it's getting ridiculous. And do you know what? They sort of laughed it off, and Michael Richards laughed it off, and Gary Neville laughed it off, but it's not that funny. No. I know we've laughed about it, but it's actually a bit distasteful now, because there's obviously something going on. And I don't know whether it was, we saw that interview where Paul Pogba said he didn't know who Graham Souness was when he came to England, which by the way, is only right, because why would Paul Pogba know about a player who retired before Paul Pogba was born, or around the same time Paul Pogba was born? When Graham Souness went to Italy, did he know all the Sampdoria players from the 70s? No. Probably not. No. So it's not like...
Or the 50s.
Yeah, or the 50s. No, you're right. Yeah. Why would he? So maybe that's in his mind. Maybe it's the whole ex-Liverpool player talk about a United player. Maybe it is the fact that Graham Souness is this sort of blood and thunder type, flying into tackles, an Aldi version of Brian Robson, and I mean that, an Aldi version, because he's not even in the same class. And he doesn't like the fact that you've got these players earning a lot more than he ever would. Just, who he sees as this bling type
and they haven't
characters.
Just got, black boots. They've dared to have a bit of colour in their shoes and in their hair or whatever.
And it's like, it's just ridiculous now. And I don't mind people criticising Paul Pogba. I don't mind people questioning certain aspects of his game or his agent. And I think when you've got pundits, they should be able to be honest. But someone needs to have a word with him and say, listen, you've got to at least give him credit when he plays well. You can't just have it where it's all negative, because you watched the game. What we saw from Paul Pogba was outstanding.
Exceptional.
Yeah, it was. And now you can look at it and go, Greenwood's finish was great. Bruno's control was great. You know,
he did miss that one chance when he's one over the goalkeeper.
Yeah. But
he was quality.
He was quality. You know, that he put it on a bit of a plate for Fred. It was just an outstanding performance. It really was. And I think you can acknowledge that. And that's your job to talk about that. You don't have to be all, I love Paul Pogba, he's the best thing since sliced bread. But you can at least say he played well when he gave the most assists any Manchester United player has ever given in one game in Premier League history. Come on, man. Do you know what I mean?
The thing that gets me a little bit as well is that Gary Neville mentioned this in the debate last week, and he mentioned it. He said Harry Kane's a modern, I've met him, he's a professional, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, he said he doesn't drink. I'm like, no, neither does Paul Pogba. He says he does all charity work. He said, so does Paul Pogba. You don't highlight those things around him when he talks about it. And also, this thing about Harry Kane this year, you go back to 2018, which was peak of Pogba being what he was in terms of, he came out and said after World Cup I'd like a new challenge and all this, and this was when Zidane
the relationship was crumbling with Jose.
He came back a week early from his holidays because he wasn't meant to be back, captained, scored and played 90 minutes in the game against Leicester in 2018. Same thing with Harry Kane this week. Wanted to go, was waiting for a bid, had come out and said that. No, he's a professional, comes back and does it. So there is a direct comparison between what Harry Kane's gone through and what Paul Pogba's gone through. They both said they wanted to leave. They both not got the moves. What Harry Kane's done, whether he's stayed on holiday longer, whether he's been allowed to, or whatever.
Whether there is something else
going on. Paul Pogba decided the thing he was going to do in all of this situation when he was with Jose and everything was going off. Came back early, got given the captain's armband, 90 minutes, scored a goal, they won the game. It didn't go great that season, but I don't. It's odd.
Do you think
it's
like
odd.
Just juxtaposing it with the Harry Kane thing? There seems to be this sort of like he's sacred, Harry Kane. You know, like you can't criticise him, you can't say anything about him. He's this sort of, holier than thou type
sort of masterpiece created by the football gods.
There was something like he got some grief on Twitter, and there was like, I can't remember, it was a journalist tweeting like, this was ahead of a tournament, and like this is the worst thing that's ever happened to an England player ahead of a tournament. And I was like, does anyone have a word about Bobby Charlton in 1958? He literally went to the World Cup after watching most of his teammates die in Munich. If we're going to go down that stupid route, and it's like you can't do this to Harry Kane. It's like all this nonsense about Harry Kane. And I just think no player is above criticism. No. You can think Harry Kane is an amazing player. Harry Kane has been a great servant to Tottenham. Harry Kane is acting like a knobhead right now. You can think all those things. They're not mutually exclusive where you can't think them. No. Do you know what I mean? And it's like no one's willing to criticise him. And I think, is there a bit of a thing with Sky or whoever where they don't want to upset him because they're going to want to interview him, they're going to want to have him on when it's the World Cup especially. He could potentially be England's star man. Is that playing into the mind where it's like we don't want to, don't be too negative about Harry Kane. He could be the Golden Boot winner next year and because there's a World Cup next summer. Or do they genuinely not see it? Do they genuinely have the blinkers on where it's like, oh, he's so good? I just don't get it.
It has got to the point with around this situation specifically where, like I just said a second ago, there is part of me that thinks maybe there is something else going on. Maybe there is something in his personal life. Maybe there is an injury. Maybe there is something. Because it has got to the point where you sort of think otherwise it doesn't make any sense the way that this whole thing has been treated. It makes me think that it might be a sort of an open secret behind the scenes that something's going on with Kane. Because otherwise, like I said, it's just sort of bizarre almost.
Yeah, I'm just going to get in some super chats because they're building up and I'm scared that I'm going to miss some of them. So forgive me.
You do look very scared, actually.
I know I am. I'm absolutely quaking like those Leeds fans were when they got run down Deansgate by all the United fans. Go and throw your bin somewhere else, you absolute whoppers. Zahed's United report says, do you think Varane goes straight into the first 11 against Southampton, considering Lindelof's performance? Good point. Lindelof played very well. Alex Bagley?
I'm not sure, because like I say, it'd be harsh to just boot Lindelof out of it. Southampton won't be the worst game to do it, but do they wait? Who have we got the week after? We've got we're at home. Away again. Away to Wolves the week after.
Wolves,
probably two tough games to kind of throw him in. Maybe.
I think if you're going to do any, Southampton makes sense.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel it'd be really harsh on Lindelof because I know Varane's a different animal to Lindelof in terms of everything about him. But Lindelof was excellent the other day. Lindelof has been, generally speaking, I think, good to very good for Manchester United.
Okay.
Not excellent, not world class, but I think overall his tenure at United has been a good one. He's been the second most successful centre back in the last couple of years, and do you know what I mean? He's not been shit.
The
problem with
harsh,
it
but
is
Southampton works because we expect to beat him. We expect to hold more possession. He shouldn't, you won't want to bring him in against Liverpool or City. So
and
maybe
it's not like they've got a
Southampton
big centre forward that's going to cause him loads of issues.
So
not the same kind of stuff.
Could work.
I think it could, but it's like I said, harshening the off either way.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I'd throw him in. I think get him and Maguire playing together as quickly as possible. That's my personal thoughts. Kashiv Govender, thanks. Big love to South Africa as well. Nice comment there. Isaac Hobson says $1 for each goal against Leeds. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Makes lots of sense. Abdullah Ibrahim says, 1, Arsenal lost and we won. Can't wait for Premier League piss take.
Coming tonight at 7 o'clock, Premier League piss take is back, and so is better than Arteta. Exciting, isn't it? I'm really excited. I've seen a bit of it as well. Must admit,
I've seen a bit.
Quite nice. I've seen all of it, but through my eyes. I've since seen it through your eyes.
He says he's got some more comments here, some more points. Sorry, he says 2, the formation used looks like a 4-4-2 diamond with split strikers. Looks very flexible and exciting.
Interesting.
Sheikh Saber Houdin. Again, I'm probably getting this wrong again.
Just have some bloody confidence in yourself, Shay. You got it right.
Go on,
Right,
got it.
Yeah. Says the most annoying thing about Souness' statement was Pogba wasn't even 100 mil. If you are being a bullshitter, at least be factually bullshitter, I think he's saying. Because he said £100 million player. And obviously Pogba, if we're going to get down to, nitty-gritty, was 89 million, whatever it was. But this came after as well. Let's not forget, after Pep Guardiola and Manchester City lost their 5th Premier League game out of the last 12.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
I like that you've done that.
Which is awful
That's
form.
sort of like, I never like this. We're undefeated in 6. He's like, there's only been 2 games this season, but the last 4, no, it gets a wipe. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen it at cricket. If let's say that there's two batsmen left, if I bowl them both out, and then the game's finished, the next game I play, I'm still on for a hat trick. Like, no, you're fucking not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're
the
not,
next
mate.
innings. Sorry, the next innings.
No,
so
you're
it's
not,
like we've just batted in the middle. We haven't batted for 2 days.
been
and
2
I'm still on
days.
for a hat
No.
trick. No, you're not. Unbeaten runs. Yes, it's nice to talk about the consistency over seasons, but unbeaten runs start and end at the end of a season.
I'm only joking. It is awful though that they're in the season form. They also lost the Champions League final as well.
I just don't know how they managed to lose. How they could win that game. They've had all them injuries. Oh no, wait, no injuries. Yeah.
No injuries.
It's
They've just got some
it's
people
a thin
who
squad,
get
to be fair, isn't it?
He's working on a shoestring, right?
Yeah.
You've got to understand that Tottenham have got a lot of money. City haven't. He's had no new signings. He's not been backed by the owners. He's got no real quality. Look at their bench. His bench, I read, only cost 350 million. His starting 11 only cost 550 million. How the hell is Pep Guardiola meant to win a game with a team that cost 900 million quid?
It's Eric Dyer.
What is he, a miracle worker?
Eric Dyer at centre half. You can't beat that.
No,
You're never
that's
gonna get
factual.
past that.
You may as well just not even turn up.
It's going to be tough, isn't it?
It is. I know. I mean, I actually feel really sorry for Pep. I think he's been outdone by. Jack Taylor in the super chat says, "Do you think we could?" This comes up quite a lot. This question. Do you think we could convert Lindelof to defensive midfielder because of his long passes and his defensive work rate could help fix the hole in midfield?
No.
Did another great ball, didn't he, for Bruno's third
hat-trick?
Yeah.
Bruno's third is one of my favourite compositions, by the way. Thanks for mentioning that.
Is it?
Can we just play for a few seconds of that now?
Do you know what? It was weird. Did you have like a bit of a muted celebration for his third?
I thought it was offside.
Because I was going berserk and I looked round and thought I'd missed something because some of my sort of colleagues or friends weren't as quite...
Colleagues.
Yeah, colleagues, they're not. Weren't as quite... Like, they were a bit like muted almost because they were all expecting the VAR offside thing.
Did you see it? Did you see they went back and showed... even on the live thing they didn't. It was on the highlights. I saw it on Match of the Day where they showed the line.
He'd have been offside last year.
They use a nice sort of sexy, chubby line now, don't they? Before it was this single pixel wide waif of a line.
They literally said he'd be offside last year.
It's like the VAR lines had a bit of a, do you know what I mean? Had a bit of a good lockdown, if you know what I mean. VAR lines put a bit of weight on. It's that.
Bit of timber.
Yeah, it's just, it's been difficult for all of us, hasn't it? Even the VAR lines put weight on. That's how God lockdown's been. But I like that. Like you said, Alex, it was last season they said that would have been disallowed because he was.
But it was almost too good to be true when he scored that, because it was like went to 3-1 up. I'm like, right, we're going to control that. You're going to cruise, and then all of a sudden, goal, hat trick. It was like, it can't be right. Bruno's not scored a hat-trick on the opening day of the season.
Weird,
I just didn't against Leeds is like, I can't be
What I
true.
loved about all his goals as well, there was an element of like, is that going to happen? Like, his first one, it's the keeper. And it seems to take an eternity, didn't it, to drop in? And you're like, is that going in? Yeah. Then you had his second one where, had it been cleared off the line or had it gone over the line? And then it was like, obviously, I just saw the ref pointing to his watch. And that's what I went. And then the third one, is it offside? Is it not? On another day, he might not have had any of them, but he didn't. He got all three, so who cares? It's a hat trick against Leeds.
Can we just talk about this Jamie Burton thing? We'll come back to this. It's a super chat from Jamie Burton. He said Wall of the Week, which will be coming up in a bit. Jay, bottom of the Paddock Fantasy Premier League. Jay, there's about 170 people in this Paddock thing. If you remember, by the way, make sure you join.
Very much
week
bottom.
Late. But, you can still get there. If you want to become a member, click the join.
Well, you can get ahead of me, no matter when you join.
Jay, of 170, is rock bottom.
Right.
You've got... I won't even get into it. Actually, I'm going to get into it.
Shall we bring it up? I can probably bring it up for you.
You started with...
I've got it right here.
You've got Cavani in your team to start with, which
I've already
is bold.
got it, Jay. Stay still, man.
It's a bold strategy.
It's a bold strategy,
Jay,
considering he's not in the country.
173rd. On his bench, Harry Kane.
So not trained all week.
Edinson Cavani. He's got the weight, the heft of Kasper Schmeichel
on the bench.
£5 million on the bench. This is a man who is upsettingly bad at Fantasy Premier League. And this is free, and I still feel like you're losing now. He's got 30 points.
It's a talent.
It was the easiest weekend ever.
If you have Bruno
it was the easiest weekend ever. You have Bruno and Salah, they're going to score loads of points. Dead easy. Everyone in the world had them, not Jay Motti.
I don't know what I was doing. I looked at that team, right, because I thought, I must have Bruno in my team. Like, I must have put him in. No, I haven't. I put Cavani in. Right, well, why have I done that? And then I thought, like, I must have put some of the rivals in who I don't like, just so it softens the blow and all that.
No.
But I haven't. I've picked, like, just nonsense. It's like
I knew you'd have Ismail Assar in there, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Assar was
like anyway, it's members, for the members on the channel. The code is on the Facebook group, if you remember. You get access to the Facebook group. So if you want to become a member, make sure you check out. Let's not dwell on it too much, because, again, a lot of people
How important do you think it is, though, going back to the City game, and the fact that they did this last season. They had a bit of a stuttering start, and then they hit the stride, don't they? And they tend to have these mad runs, don't they, sir? How important do you think it is? I know it's only early days, but that we take advantage of it when they aren't winning.
Last season, City won the league last season because their squad was so much better than everyone else. In terms of depth, it wasn't just their 11 was better than everyone else. It was the depth, and with the lack of it, with all the injuries that were going to happen due to the short break with COVID and all that kind of stuff. That's why City pulled away with it all.
Sorry, my missus in the comments saying, hang on, you took time out of our holiday to do that team. Facepalm. I'm sorry, she's done me there.
Yeah. I don't think that'll happen this year. If you have a slow start this year, you'll be out, because I think Chelsea have got a big enough squad. They're not going to drop off. I think United's squad this year, we've got players coming back where last year we were always one injury away from it not looking great.
Well, if you look at centre-back, now, if someone gets injured, Lindelof is coming in. Whereas last year, if someone gets injured, you're hoping Bailly's fit, and if not, it's Tuanzebe or Jones. Yeah. That's a huge improvement already.
I think taking Manchester United out of it completely, I don't think Liverpool and Chelsea let City drop off like they did at the start of last season, and let them bring it back. And I also think they're going to lose more games. I think the Premier League is better. The Premier League throughout
is as good. I think it is currently the best any league has ever been. I think the Premier League is so incredibly strong at the moment.
Do you think you can win the league this season with late 80s points, 92 points, whatever?
I think because the way it may be spread out, I think you'll see more of the big teams taking points off each other, because the last couple of seasons, the season before last, Liverpool dominated that head-to-head table. Last season, City were very good on that head-to-head table. I think this season, you're going to see 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. You're going to see that kind of spread, I think, amongst the top teams. I think they'll take more points off each other, because the gap in quality is so slim, and the amount of quality is so high that anything can happen on any given game. There's so many match winners on the pitch at any one time in these big games.
It's always been shown that as well. I know it's only one game, but Spurs have already beaten the champions.
Yeah,
City.
And not just beating them, we're as good or better than City in that game. It was an even game that Spurs happened to win.
Leicester are always capable of beating anyone on the day. They did it in the FA Cup final against a very good Chelsea team who went on to win the Champions League. Liverpool are always going to be.
But I think teams like Everton can be harder to beat this year under Benitez. He's not going to make them a lot better, but I think they're just going to be harder to beat. So I think that they'll have more 0-0s against the likes of City and United, and they'll do that this season. Villa are a better team, a better squad. I think they've lost Jack Grealish.
Villa made some good signings,
even though I think Watford looked all right at the weekend. They look like they've got a decent team. And I think that
Brentford will be tough to beat.
West Ham did alright, didn't he, at St James's?
Arsenal might nick a few points now and again.
But the thing that I need to do, and we can talk about what City will do, what Chelsea do, what Liverpool will do. Since Leicester won the league, every single year, the team that's won the league has gone on a run where they've won 18 of 25 games, or they've undefeated in 25, or they win 15 in a row. United at the minute, we're good at undefeated in 20, but it's 12 wins, 8 draws. We're good at these good runs. We need to be able to put together a great run like City did last year, won 22 games in a row, whatever it was. The league's basically done. Liverpool did it the year before, where there was a point where of the it spanned over 2 seasons, but it was like of the possible 105 points available, they've got 96. Do you know what I mean? They were just winning. They didn't drop a point till Christmas basically, and then they drew to United. Yeah, we need to be capable of putting that sort of run together, regardless, what City or Chelsea or Liverpool are doing. And I think we're just at the point where you can sort of make the argument that we can do that. I think last season we were still a bit thin. Like I said, centre back, we got an injury there. We kind of struggle against anyone. Whereas now we're sort of injury proof in every position, and that's proven by the fact that Marcus Rashford isn't going to be playing for 8 weeks, and we're not really talking about it that much. No. It's just sort of, go on, rest yourself up, lad. Like, we've got loads of options. I know we haven't, but you know what I mean? It's like last season it'd been a disaster if Marcus Rashford wasn't there for 10 weeks.
We scored 5 goals the weekend without Cavani, Rashford, Lingard, Sancho on the bench, even Ilanga, who looked like he was going to do something, didn't even get involved. That's 5 players that can come in and do a better job than we would have done last year. And we're still scoring goals. And I think that'll be the key for United this season, is we have got a bit of squad depth now, whereas before we didn't. Chelsea have got a bit of squad depth now, and obviously their manager's a bit more switched on. I think that they'll do well. Liverpool look like they've had a pre-season which is going to help massively. I think that's the other thing, is that there's going to be less injuries. These teams are prepared to play a Premier League season now, which they weren't last season. Whereas City weren't last year because they took out De Bruyne and there's Gundogan, done. That was what happened in that middle of the season. It worked. It's not going to happen this season. And I think you're right. I think it's going to be late 80s. I don't think teams are going to have 100 points this season.
No, I agree. It's certainly looking like you say, so many teams have strengthened, looking better. Just, it's a bit of an anomaly those couple of seasons, wasn't it, where you had like 98 points, 100 points. I don't think we'll see the likes of that again. It's hopefully going to be a lot more interesting, because that was just boring and awful, especially when you're seeing the likes of Liverpool and City lift the title.
Exactly. The 2 teams to do it. Come on.
Horrible. Sam in the super chat says the Premier League site have Lingard registered as a West Ham player.
I've seen that. It's a mistake, because Minamino's still on loan at Southampton. It says when he's back at Liverpool. I think
there are some rumours of Lingard going back to West Ham though.
Yeah, but it's not. That's not
linked.
That's linked, but it is. Lingard going to West Ham, I think, makes the end of transfer window for United interesting, because if they get some more money, and I think they'll try and get another signing in. I think if that happens, but.
Interesting.
I mean, I know we've covered this story a lot, but just quickly, would you be happy if he went to West Ham?
25 million, 30 million, West Ham.
I don't think he's going to get in this team, for as much as I'd like to see him. I don't think he comes in and plays. I don't think that Ollie sees him as. I think he saw him when he first come in as that option on the right hand side, or as someone who's going to do what Fernandes does. And I just don't think that there's even a chance he does that now. I think Van der Beek's got ahead of him in the pecking order. I think he wants more natural wingers rather than like Jesse Lingard is. So, I'd be happy to see him go. West Ham seem like a good fit for him. So if he does get that, we get good money. Whether that means Rice or whatever comes back on, I don't care. But I just think as long as we get a decent amount of money for him and can reinvest it, then that's the best thing. Yeah,
and most of why I would not be happy, but I'd be willing to let Jesse go would be so he can play. Obviously, it'd be good to get 30 million. Spend 40 on Sal Niguez or 40 on Camavinga or whoever, and that's only a 10 million net spend or whatever. Forget all that. I think he deserves to play. He's good enough to be playing week in, week out for a Premier League team, and hopefully he can get that at West Ham.
Peter Kelly, who's been a member for 14 months. Thanks a lot, Peter Kelly. Big fan of the channel, big friend to the channel. Says my top 4 prediction is United number 1, Chelsea 2, City 3rd, Leicester 4th. Tell you what, that would be amazing. I think that's similar to the one I had. Actually, I think I got the Scouts was missing out. I can't remember. I had United first. Great weekend. United winning and Arsenal and City getting beat. Premier League piss take will be great. Quite a lot of people talking about Arsenal getting beat and buzzing off it because I've almost think of them as irrelevant now. It was amusing to see them lose like the opening game against Brentford, especially who've just been promoted, but I don't really care about it that much.
No,
do you know what I mean? It's like I care about City getting beat because I think there's 8 City rivals and B, if we are going to be involved in the title race, they're going to be involved in it as well. Yeah. But with Arsenal, it's just like, it's just Arsenal, isn't it? I don't even watch Arsenal Fantasy. I've not watched that for years, but I'm not.
Yeah, you don't even find the sort of the morbid fascination of people losing their heads. The thing with Arsenal is, I do still find it funny because no matter what, when I was growing up, when I was first getting into watching United, 97, 98, 99, 4, 5, 6 years old, when you first actually can kind of understand what you're watching, that was the rivalry. Up until I was 12, 13, that was the rivalry. Yeah. So that will always be ingrained in me of when I was a kid, that's how it all started. When the sort of the folklore, the memories of me first enjoying football, Arsenal was the rival. So it will always have maybe a little bit extra because obviously that rivalry came around when you were 30, 40 years old, of course. So it might be
32 actually.
Might be slightly different for you. But I think there is part of it where I do think, they are just a mid-table team now. A bit of a fallen giant, obviously, because they've had Premier League success or the third most Premier League success of anyone. Yeah. But there is part of you that just thinks they're just bad. And there was a point a few years ago under late Van Gaal, early Mourinho, where my flatmate's a Wednesday fan, and he was like, "How many good players do you think you've got in your team?" And I was like, 7 or 8. And you go through it, and when you actually look at it from the perspective of other fans, and you listen to their opinions, you sort of think, "You're right. We've got 3 good players. Rooney isn't very good anymore. These players, You go through the team. And Arsenal fans somehow manage to think they've got 7, 8 great players. You actually look at their team, they've got no good players anymore. And they're like, this guy's up and coming. You remember Guendouzi was meant to be the next best thing. He got sold for £4 million a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. They just have a team full of bad players.
They overhype so much.
Yeah. They do that, but the one thing is, I think we were close. You mentioned us there. We were close to going that way. If we'd have gambled again on 2 players being the thing that drags us out of this, which is what Arsenal did in terms of Ozil and Aubameyang, is went, let's give them 400 grand a week and that'll fix us.
Which is the equivalent of United giving someone like 550.
Yeah, if we'd have gambled on Sanchez again and gone, he'll come good, and given him another contract or giving him more money, or really gone in on Pogba and said, look, let's give Pogba or Lukaku. Yeah. If you'd have gone big on them and gone, there's 500 grand, go and drag us out with the wrong manager. All of a sudden, you then lose the middle ground players that United have got that are good, and it just everything gets stretched, which is what Arsenal are now, where they've got really poor players on not a lot of money, and then you've got not very good players on loads of money, and that's where they whereas United, Ollie did the right thing, is let's get rid of a few of these big signings.
Honestly, it's such a hard thing to do. And just
really let's get a consistent squad because we're not going to do what City have 18 players who are on 200 grand a week and are world-class players.
50 million quid each.
We're going to have now 18 players that are consistently good. I know what I'm going to get out of them. Players like Fred and McTominay and maybe Wan-Bissaka you throw in there, Lindelof and things like that. Just good players that you know what you're going to get out of them. And then you can add the Varanes of this world and things like that. And it's not a big step up to them, but it's the odd star. Whereas United, Arsenal have got that massive gap between what Aubameyang get paid and I'm sure what some of those lads that played Smith Rowe gets paid. It's massive.
I've just got it up there, the Brentford game. Looking at their bench, this is Arsenal's bench, and it's dreadful. Hector Bellerin, he's terrible. Saka, he's alright, he's decent. Maitland-Niles, completely overrated. Rob Holding, dreadful. Yeah. Cedric Soares, shite. Nuno Tavares, Reece Nelson, Mohamed El-Nani, and Carl Jacob Hine.
Poor team.
You fancy chances against them in 5-a-side?
I don't think.
Do you know what I mean? Who are they?
Other than maybe Bellerin and Saka, I don't think any of those would get on our bench.
No, I don't think they would.
I think half of that team wouldn't get on our bench. It's really weird how, like you said, there was a point where just after Wenger went and Emery came in and he had that 18-game unbeaten run, didn't he, at the start of that season? And we were floundering a little bit. Yeah. And it could have gone like that, and the paths could have crossed, and they could have done what Liverpool did or Leicester did, and we could have done what they did, and it went obviously Jose won some trophies. Getting Solskjaer in was massive, and I think it's so underrated, that job that he's done of steadying the ship, slowly bringing back a team that is respectable, has genuine world-class players in that no one's denying.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to do what they've done. And honestly, it is a little bit sad almost when you look at it and you just think they're so far off now and they keep getting it wrong.
Because they are 8th and they're probably the 8th. They were 8th last year and they're probably the 8th best team at best.
Yeah.
They're not.
I know, like, to be fair,
it's not
right,
joking. They are the
just
8th best team.
We know they've got Lacazette and Aubameyang to come back into the team, but that's not like you've got Ronaldo and Messi to come back in.
No,
they
They've
got
still got
32
no
goals
midfield.
between them last season, so that's decent.
Yeah.
But let's not kid ourselves that that's going to take this team, which is bang average, and make it into title contenders. I just want to touch on something quickly before we move on. Saka came on against Brentford and got a round of applause, a standing ovation by the Brentford fans. Yep. We saw Leeds fans singing Sancho and Rashford, "You let your country down," or some equally.
And City fans as well.
And then City fans as well. And I just thought, what you make of that, because you can say, all right, it's Leeds and it's City. I mean, are we going to expect this a bit more because it's United, or is it just going to be our rivals? Do you care about it? Because a lot of people kicking off on social media. I made a bit of a joke about the fact that Marcus Rashford probably fed all their kids, which he probably did. And it's proper small time sort of Millwall-esque chanting of like, oh, they missed penalties for England, so let's have a dig at it. What are you on about?
It's stupid and it's shit.
Yeah.
But what I would say about it is it pales into comparison to some of the chants that were going on at the game.
That's a shout. That's
also, we've spoke about it at length before the tournament, sort of expecting something like this, and when you think back through the years, the Beckham stuff,
burning effigies,
the Rooney stuff, the
dartboards
Ronaldo
on the back of the
stuff, it's kind of in line, if not slightly more tame than some of the stuff we've seen in the past. Obviously, there's a racial element that has been highlighted through social media over the last few months. But if you look at what is actually being sang and who it's being sang by, it's about as fucking predictable as it gets. Dickheads being dickheads, isn't it?
It's also proper sad, isn't it? Like, you let your country down.
Who gives a fuck? What? Oh, sorry. Did you got so close? You fucking fans got us this close, mate, with your fucking jacket on. You got us this close to winning it, but then Sancho let your country down. What the fuck did you do? Sit at home and eat a pie?
It just seems weird.
They got us to the final, for fuck's sake.
Joe makes a good point as well about the worst chance going on, and there was fighting.
Not that means it's nice.
No, but
it's
worth addressing that as well. Saw it at Leeds fans, the scenes. I saw like there was the Munich chance going on. There was fighting in Dean's Gate. Some people talking about someone United fan had a Turkish flag like that justifies it. I mean, what did you make of all that when you saw that going on, especially before the game where it was like, they're all in city centre throwing dustbins down the Deansgate? I thought,
everyone's been let back out again.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it is.
It seems
what it is. Everyone's been let back out. I'll go and do that. I've seen them at the pub near here in the Piccadilly Gardens one where they don't go in. They're just stood at the front door shouting at people having them Wetherspoon's breakfast, like where no United fans. There's some odd behaviour, but going back to the Rashford chant, I think it felt weird because it felt like the country in general after everything that bad happened that night kind of got together and went, let's not do this time. No, let's move on from this.
We're better than we're better than that now.
Leeds and City fans have decided that they're not.
But again, it almost feels like it's like
Leeds
fake.
Yeah.
It's like, what can we do? Well, we're not allowed to have a go at them three that missed the penalty, so we'll have a go at them three that missed the penalty. It's like I don't even think they believe what they're saying. I honestly don't think they care. I don't think they're mad at Rashford. I think they're doing it to wind up United fans. I don't even think they believe it.
Manchester City won the Premier League and have signed the player that a lot of clubs wanted, and the first thing that gets put on social media is them singing about Rashford and Sancho. What goes on what goes on? How have you got to that point? It's odd. It's odd behaviour.
It is. Ross Murphy in the super chat says, Joe, you're wrong. They're not bad. They're really bad. Obviously, referencing Arsenal. Abhishek says, Ole is slowly replacing the lost 2008 squad. And Abhinav Verma in the super chat, who's also been a member for 5 months. We appreciate your support.
Cheers,
says,
man.
Honestly, Sancho, Rashford and Saka proved their English by missing the penalty. If anything, Maguire's penalty was very un-English. It was one of the best penalties ever, that one. I love that penalty.
To be English.
Just before we wrap up, Wally of the Weeks, I'll start with you, Alex Bagley.
got to be the Leeds fans in general, just for their behaviour.
I don't know, man.
I think it's got to be for their...
I'd have them the opposite. I thought they were hilarious at times. Do you know what I mean? Having their 40,
did it feel like real football was back as well?
Yeah.
The abuse. They're more taking their shirts off because doing that thing when people pretend it's hot when it's actually cold, when it isn't even cold. Like, oh, warm one today. It's not pissing it down. It's not -3. Stop acting hard.
Like Jay turning up in August with it red hot in a parka to Old Trafford this weekend.
It was like 14 degrees. It's not hot enough to make a joke that it's too hot. It's not cold enough to make a joke it's too cold. Just put your shirt back on. We know you've got a tattoo of a Leeds badge on your left breast. We don't need to see it, mate. But funny though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Funny, yeah. No. So you go to Leeds fans. What are you saying?
Wally of the week. Probably, I'm going to go with just the I don't know, the whole thing around Grealish to City pissed me off.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't this week, but the whole build-up and the £100 million man and all this, and just think, he's not even as good as the lad he's replacing there with David Silva. Man City's midfield is worse now than it was 2 years ago, and they spent £100 million. And I like Jack Grealish, but at some point we've got to turn on him because he plays for City now. And I'm starting it on this channel by giving Jack Grealish to Manchester City as a whole and the performance around it all. That's my Wally of the week. I'll
just be Mr. Predictable and go with Graham Souness.
Good lad.
It's been a Wally.
Left you for that one. Let you
he gets my vote Wally of the week. And Abdullah Ibrahim says, all who say Ollie hasn't improved us, they're all Wallies. I agree. They are. Because he has. Who knows? Maybe there could be a title on the horizon, but I'm not saying it yet. That's been Joe Smith. Where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93 on Twitter and Instagram. And make sure you check out Premier League Piss Take coming tonight at 7 o'clock.
Gold. Alex Bagley, where can people find you?
Baggers_Alex.
Yes.
Everywhere. Remember, our sponsors, though, for today, Free Trade. Make sure you're checking out the link in the description for that. Remember, Capsule's at risk with all those kind of things, so make sure you're doing that.
Link in the description.
And all that stuff. And also, do check out the merch.
Look at that.
A couple of people in the comments have asked about. There is a link in the description for that as well.
Brand new, this one.
You can go. Mine's brand new as well.
Brand spanking new.
Why does it smell like piss then?
Because I pissed on it. Right. Obviously. Right. This has been the Paddock Podcast. Thanks for everyone who's getting involved. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.